Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show. Yes, indeed, it is September 23rd, but wherever you are, whenever you listen, we do hope your candles are green and that it is a good now. Shout out to Maureen and everybody else for whom this is the only podcast you watch or listen to religiously. We do love that. If you've got a crypto question, a suggestion, a good joke, a word of wisdom, or a rating for one of Alex's favorite books and want to debate it with him, then leave it in the comments. I can take it there. We can go back.
Hello.
Fantasy.
Hello.
Fantasy novels a specialty. Oh my gosh. But I think maybe we can get into a couple of crypto questions because we do already have some stuff rolling in from the audience that I know you will both love as much as you will love to debate the greatness of your favorite novel. Starting with this question from Hunts, whose name I don't recognize. So thanks for tuning in, Hunts. And thank you if you're listening for the first time. Ask us your question too. It is, how would you advise I get into DeFi for the first time?
Ooh, I think Alex and I are going to have a very similar answer here. So in Red Rising, which is great but not perfect.
This is exactly how I was going to start the answer as well.
So Red Rising by Pierce Brown is a fantastic book, but it's not perfect. And where it's no, sorry, this is what we were talking about backstage. It's Alex's favorite book, and I read the first book. I loved it anyway. But I don't.
We're going to his rebuttal next. So
yeah, but anyway, to your question about the best way to get started in DeFi is Alex and I are gonna have the same answer here, which is that Darrow's character in Red Rising is really a little bit too focused on just like one path of rage, and there's not nearly much growth. No, I'm sorry, I'll stop. So I would say go and buy some stable coins, whatever stable coins are your preference, and then
let's take it all the way back to basics. What's a stable coin?
Oh, wonderful. Yes. So stablecoin is a cryptocurrency that is tied to the dollar in this case, in most cases, but it can be tied to your native land's currency as well. The Great British Pound, the euro, it can be tied to whatever, right? But what's most common is the US dollar, right? There's just
almost
more.
99% of all stablecoins are settled to the dollar.
Yeah. So you're probably going to go get something like USDC or USD right? Tether, there's DAI, there's a bunch of different options. If you're in the United States, you're probably going to use USDC. If you're outside of the United States, you're probably going to use Tether. Okay. So the whole point of this is you have something that just works in this crypto world that is basically worth $1, right? And it stays there. It's supposed to. It stays there, right? And so the best thing that you can do here is now go and explore some DeFi solutions. Okay. And if you have already kind of graduated past this point, the next point here is I'm going to tell you, you need to try to find a blockchain ecosystem that you're most interested in using. A blockchain ecosystem can be Ethereum. It could be Avalanche. It could be within Ethereum. You also have a bunch of different ecosystems as well, like Base and Polygon and Optimism, right? You have your Solana right there. So there are a bunch of ecosystems. So figure out which one you're most interested in. If you're on Coinbase, it might be easiest to go and use Base because there are some easy on-ramps there. But anyway, so figure out what your answer is there. And then you can go on a tool called DeFiLlama.com and click on Base in this case, and it'll pull up a whole bunch of applications that you can use in the DeFi ecosystem. And the one that I would recommend people to use first is, actually, it's one of two. There's something called a lending protocol where you can lend out money and earn interest, or borrow money without having to get your credit score checked and earn interest. And then there's also a decentralized exchange, which is just like a Coinbase or a Kraken or a Binance, but instead of being offered by a centralized company, it is a decentralized, disparate application that no one organization is supposed to really run. Although often there are teams that are really the ones kind of driving it and upgrading it and things of that nature. So on these exchanges, you can make swaps. You can swap your USDC for other assets, right? You are trading, okay? So go in and explore, take a small sum of money. You can even take just $10 and then go on something like Morpho on Base or even Moonwell, right? There are two options there. I'd recommend Morpho. And lend out your $10 And, after you connect your wallet, you do have to get a wallet, by the way. So for Base, a Coinbase wallet would work, a MetaMask wallet. I think Rabby also works. There's a bunch of different wallet options. So get your wallet all set up, put your USDC there, and then go and lend and borrow with $10 and just see how that experience is. And now you're earning some interest. And then you can also go and use a decentralized exchange. Again, if you're staying on Base, you're probably going to go to Aerodrome, or even directly in your wallet. You don't even have to go to Aerodrome. You can just press the swap button and swap things, and you are using a decentralized exchange in the background. And there's a whole bunch of, if you're on Solana, it's Radium or Jupiter if you want to do swaps. But those are the two things I would suggest about how to start exploring DeFi and where to begin. Start with small amounts of money, start with stable coins, and don't put anything at risk, and just kind of get your DeFi feet underneath you, if you will.
Beautiful answer. Thank you very much. Alex, where would you go? And also for the people in podcast land, we've been doing a little screen sharing of some of these different platforms so you can see how they work. Will dropped a lot of different names, tools, and definitions. This is a great one to slow down, pause, and rewind, because any of these will help you build confidence with every one of these. Just starting somewhere with a small amount, you're not going to break any of these protocols. Will help you build the skills you need to keep going. Alex, I see you got a million things up. So tell me about some of them. Where would you go if you were starting DeFi? And why is Red Rising the greatest of all time?
To be honest, I feel a lot better right now because Will said that Darrow didn't have much growth. And so nothing he says means anything about anything with the rest of any of his opinions about that entire series. Because that is...
He has a very small amount of growth in the first book.
That's absolutely insane.
He has a very small amount of growth.
How?
Absolutely die on this hill.
You're so wrong. There's not enough letters in the word wrong to describe how wrong you are.
Alex, I'm absolutely trolling you.
You are.
You're
absolutely years off my life right now.
Yeah. Darrow changes quite a bit. His entire leadership strategy changes from the beginning, where his entire Mars tribe essentially becomes degenerate barbarians, and then at the end ends up uniting all of the people against their true enemy, because he changes his leadership strategy and communication based on the influence of Mustang. So yes,
so this really is like DeFi, is what you're telling me.
It's just like DeFi. So anyway, if you get some stable coins,
really
if Darrow just had stable coins,
just the best. Okay, so regardless of how wrong Will is, if I was to boil down everything that Will said a little bit more succinctly, in essence, what you need to do is put together a couple ingredients, and then the world is truly your oyster with regards to DeFi. So you simply must have a wallet. And as Will said, there are a bunch of options. And if you were looking for, the best one, you probably want to try a few different ones and kind of see which one makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside. But honestly, the easiest way to pick one would probably be to go to that first place that Will mentioned, which is this website right here that I am pulling up on the screen as there. So through DeFi Llama, you can get links out to a whole bunch of different DeFi protocols. And to be very honest with you, at this exact stage, it doesn't really matter. Just kind of click around and start to put the pieces together of which of these wallets can connect to the most stuff.
And Alex, just some extra context for Hunts specifically, because I saw his comment come through. He said he's already using, and sorry, Hunts, if you're not a he, multiple wallets.
Okay.
Just haven't gotten into DeFi or staking. So like probably a level 1 user who's looking to go through there.
In that case, then yeah, you can put these things into a few categories. Big category number 1, lending and borrowing, probably the easiest. By easiest, I mean most simple. Often, what you do there is single-sided, meaning that you are only bringing one asset to the table. And like Will said, that asset can be a stable coin, and then you can do actually quite a bit. So the simplest way to think about lending and borrowing is you're essentially opening up a much better kind of high yield savings account, better in my humble opinion. Better because your money that goes to the platform actually stays with the platform. It actually exists. You actually own it. In theory, these things could be 100% withdrawn. Every user could 100% withdraw all of their funds from their balance at the same time, and the protocol obviously wouldn't have anything to lend out or do since then, but it would work. You'd be able to do that. Whereas if everybody from Bank of America went to withdraw their checking account at the same time, it would collapse because it doesn't exist. So lending and borrowing is effectively a decentralized bank where you can go and you can bring assets to the table and you can earn interest for bringing them there, or you can go and you can borrow stuff. In which case, all you have to bring is collateral and a can-do attitude. Other than that, from there you can swap. There's trading, like Will said. So mess around with some different dexes. Every day, effectively, I use Jupiter, which is a decentralized exchange aggregator on Solana, meaning that it finds just efficient trade routes to do stuff. But I would kind of sacrifice a few dollars and just sort of experiment with all that sort of stuff. I would make a swap on something, pick your favorite chain, and then make a swap on that chain from one thing to another. Doesn't really matter to what. I would supply something. I showed a few on screen. You can also go to DeFi Llama here, and I have to get my fast routes back to everything because of course they changed the entire layout of the entire menu. But if you pick your favorite blockchain, let's just start here with Ethereum, and you go down and you have this giant list of all of these protocols, which I'll zoom in for here.
Thank you for the zoom.
These are all different protocols that exist on Ethereum, and as you can see, oftentimes other blockchains. Aave was one of the ones I showed on screen, and as you can see, it is on lots of blockchains, including Sonium. Shout out.
Dang,
Yeah.
DeFi on Sony before we got DeFi on XRP.
Wow, that's actually a pretty bad burn.
I'm so sorry, guys.
That's a pretty bad burn.
But
that's the blockchain that Sony made, by the way, that nobody uses.
Okay.
But from there, you could click on the thing, whatever the protocol is, get a little bit more information about it. Here's their their website's always down here. I don't know that if you've done the first stage, which is get a wallet, put something in it, and then want to explore, really truly it's pretty hard to mess up if you stick with these high ranking protocols to get started and kind of learn the basics.
Yeah, stick with stuff that's on like the front page of DeFi Llama. Stick with stuff that if you ask about it in a group chat like this, people will say, yeah, I've heard about it. If it's, got a weird, wild name, if it's got a million trillion % APY, that can be tempting, but it probably, is probably too, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And you want to learn what's credible and legitimate and the skills you're going to need before you start venturing out into like the wild, uncharted waters of decentralized finance. What are you looking at now here, Alex?
I don't know. They added all these dashboards, so I figured here's one that's just called the top 5 lending projects. So
that was a cool little visual.
Okay, so yeah, they've got Just Lend, Compound, Spark Lend, and Morpho. Interesting.
And these kinds of metrics, we're throwing up APY and TVL and things like that. This is, as Alex often says, the kind of jargon that you write down, you bring to your group chat, or you bring to your GPT, your Perplexity, your research assistant, and just have a conversation. What is TVL? What role does it play in helping a DeFi protocol succeed or securing a DeFi protocol? And even you could ask about like lending, borrowing, staking. What are the different types of decentralized finance? That would be a great place to start because it's going to help you get an understanding. You'll encounter other terms, LTV, loan to value, LLTV, liquid loan to value, collateral. All of this stuff is important to have a grasp of because it's new, perhaps, but it's not necessarily.
Got him.
I knew it was coming. It's not necessarily complex. You can learn it. And one of the follow-up questions we had was, is there a step-by-step guide for this? So I would say that this is a good start. The second place to go from like right here is you should jump into a group chat or community of people who are already confident crypto users. And you know what I'm going to say, if you already watched the show, the place we recommend you go is RUMS, RUMSHQ.com, like Rise Up Morning Show headquarters. When you get there, the very first link at the top is our free learning community. It'll take you like 2 seconds to sign up. You can use a pseudonym if you want. It's a safe place to ask a question, share what you know, learn, grow, and we say rise up with others. We have also got a ton of free resources here on this channel, wherever you are, whenever you listen. Past recordings of the Rise Up Morning Show. We also have classes you can take. We have ebooks you can download. We even have, for the stuff you pay for, a premium membership designed to help you like accelerate your learning journey so you can become a more self-sufficient investor and crypto user. It is awesome. I'm seriously here to tell you. It's the shortcut we wish we had when we started, because we had to learn this stuff by banging our head against the wall, you know. The only thing missing is you. It's RUMSHQ.com. That's your step one. Step two, if you're like, Evan, I still don't trust you, come back to the show. But in the meantime, check out coinbase.com/learn. Their resources are killer. And check out CoinGecko has a book called How to DeFi. The examples in which are a little bit outdated, but they're super relevant to the conversation even still today. And they're very helpful to give you like step-by-step, definition by definition breakdowns. One last clarifying question. When you say wallet, do you mean Coinbase or a cold wallet? And I just want to super clarify that a crypto wallet is any interface that generates and stores your private key. This is just a string of numbers, letters. It's a piece of encrypted information that, when presented to one of the computers that maintains the record of transactions called a blockchain, it will recognize it as like your account, your identity. It's the decentralized key to the on-chain internet. You can use it to buy, sell, or reassign the assets you are entitled to, and other kinds of information. It doesn't just have to represent money, but for now, your wallet is any interface that holds those keys. Coinbase, Kraken, Binance, those are exchange companies. They give you a username and password, which is different than a private key. They manage private keys for you. These are called custodial services. In crypto, it's totally fine to use custodial services, and I often recommend people get started there. But it's important to learn about what we call self-custody, which is where you generate a private key using a wallet. It could be an app like MetaMask or Coinbase Wallet, Phantom, or it could be a device, a physical device, sometimes called a cold storage wallet like a Ledger or an Arculus. These all look different, they function differently, and people often ask us what's the best one to use. And I say that most legitimate wallets are all good. The best one to use is the one that supports the networks and tokens you want to use. You can find this out on their website with Google, with Perplexity or Claude or GPT, and the ones you find easiest to use consistently well. Totally fine to use a mix of all these solutions. And that's the most important thing when you're getting started, is just to educate yourself. Get on an exchange, try out a wallet, send yourself a couple of those stable coins that Will talked about, and then start exploring what is possible. For DeFi, it is an alternative to the centralized systems that made all these decisions for you. And if you're a Red Rising fan, you might resonate with the fact that man cannot be freed by the same injustice that enslaved it. So we are here to encourage you to just start.
That was actually perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was good. Give yourself a ding for that. You can start off Wednesday with a bonus point.
I've been working that. I did a Google search for Red Rising quotes, and I was like, oh, this is the one. And I just knew I had to bring it back full circle and work it in somehow. Okay. No need to aggrandize ourselves. If you've got a question, let us know. What were we going to say, Alex?
You mentioned one thing that I would honestly say, if you listen to all this and you have the totally normal reaction to like, holy shit, that's way too much, never mind, I give up. Any of those big large language model AIs like Perplexity is honestly my go-to at this point, or Claude or GPT or Gemini or any of those. If you were to go into one of those, and I would hazard a guess that even the free ones would be pretty good at helping at least get started and kind of build, like an initial plan. literally just go in there and say, hey, I'm trying to like take my understanding or my usage of DeFi to the next level. This is what I've done so far, and I am overwhelmed and I don't know where to start. Write me like a step-by-step plan on some things to experiment with. I'm willing to spend $25 to learn a few basic DeFi skills. Like, what do I do? I bet you it would come up with a pretty good plan. That's kind of how I would structure that first prompt. And if nothing else, it will probably help lead you to some more specific questions, because how to DeFi is incredibly big and vague, and it can go a million different directions. There are so many options. It's very, very, very challenging to just say like there is one that is better or worse than any other one, especially when we're talking about all the big stuff we just covered.
The best one is the one that gives you the highest percentage APY. What? No, don't do that.
Well,
this says 15,000% APY.
And not a single red flag in sight.
Yeah.
You know how to sell this thing.
Put your life savings in it. Do it. Don't do it.
Yeah. Okay. So also the other questions that are coming in give us a little more opportunity to clarify some of these things. I want to let folks know we do have a specific class called How to DeFi. It's a self-paced course. I need to update it though. I make some outdated references to the resources we have. So if you're a premium member in the community, then hey, watch out for this. Sometime before the end of the year, I am going to host a free for premium members How to DeFi class that will become the new recording. And then in the start of the year, we're going to do the live cohorts. That'll take you 0 to 60 through all the kinds of conceptual knowledge we have, whether it's like how to get started, what is Web3, how do you use a wallet, to exploring these DeFi protocols on your own, with others, and in the context of like what specifically interests you. So stay tuned, be on the lookout for that. If you want to be eligible to sign up, you can start a free premium membership trial and check out a lot of the goodies. It's all, rumshq.com in the community there.
So,
go ahead. I was going to do a quick follow-up.
No, go for it.
Okay. Quick follow-up was why, essentially, this is you, it's me, 23. You asked a different question, but permit me to rephrase, because this is how a lot of people will receive it. And thank you for the good question. It's good to see you here. How come not every wallet supports every token? Because can't they just like add it? Sometimes, on my wallet, I see now supporting this token or now supporting this token. Do you have a concise answer for why that's the case, guys?
Yeah, not every wallet is natively built for every blockchain. So, I mean, it's getting better. We have way more wallets that are interoperable, which is just a term that means it can connect to or work with other blockchains. But, if you have a wallet that's natively built for Ethereum, it may not be able to hold Solana tokens because the address of your wallet is meant for Ethereum, whereas the token on Solana has a Solana address. So it doesn't work. They butt heads. They don't play well together.
Yeah,
it's generally too. It's a cost benefit analysis for the company building the wallet, because every time you add something like that and it is able to transact on a new network, there are costs associated with doing that. It is actually not free all the time to do everything with blockchains. And if you are running a service that is required to make millions, depending on how many users you have and how much stuff they're doing with you, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of API calls, those really add up. And it's oftentimes just, if one wallet has a user base that is really just going real heavy here and they don't have a lot of user demand to add something, for example, MetaMask adding Solana functionality was just a result of finally getting beaten down by the fact that users wanted to do stuff like that as Solana grew to have more activity. But for a very long time, there was really no need to deal with all of the headache of trying to add in another, technically different blockchain and pay for all of that and, yada, yada, so on and so forth. It's largely cost. It's just a cost benefit analysis on their part.
Yeah, it'd be, like expecting every computer program to open every type of file.
Yeah, like technically you could do it, but like, why? Why would you when you don't have to?
And it'll get easier probably over time. There will be some people who try to compete by offering you more. Like that's Trust Wallet's strategy. They support more networks and tokens than any other wallet. But then you've got wallets like Shaman, which is like, we are an XRP Ledger native wallet. We're the best wallet for these kinds of assets. That's their thing, and they're on the front page of the XRP internet. They're a great wallet product. So just depends.
I was gonna pivot us a little bit to talk about my hot take from yesterday, because I didn't get to hear your guys' opinion about it.
Hot take. I am not remembering this, so
No,
read
don't
me in.
remember.
So there was my hot take is effectively that I don't think UX really matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing a 180 on this.
What Alex? What is UX?
So UX, it stands for user experience. It's effectively the experience, the process, what you do as a user of a thing. So the user experience of Google, any of the many Google products, Google Maps. What's the UX? The UX would be experience of opening the app and entering an address and hitting start. How easy is that? How natural does that flow? Does it make sense? Is it easy for me to intuit the direction I'm supposed to go, the thing I'm supposed to click on, where I'm supposed to type stuff, whatever? And generally, there has been a never-ending discussion, and no matter how many years we whine about this, no one ever does anything about it. It is the UX problem in crypto. Being I open a new decentralized something or other, and I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do here? I don't know where to click. Nothing makes sense. I don't know what any of these words mean. There's tons of jargon everywhere, blah, 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 whatever. And I have been just seeing for years, people lambast the user experience of many different DeFi protocols, projects, wallets, exchanges, minting platforms, whatever, as like, well, the reason they don't have any users, the reason they don't make any money is because the UX is bad, and we just need to fix the UX, and then we'll be there. We'll be home free. And really true. This is pretty recent for me. I'm really kind of coming around and changing my mind I just think that's bullshit. I think that's nonsense. It's
a crux.
It just doesn't make any sense. Think about how many engineers are working on all this kind of stuff. The science of UX is pretty well established. Like this, it's not like the internet was invented yesterday. We've been improving the UX of tons and tons of things for as long as there have been things, right? Cars, kitchen equipment, dentistry tools. It doesn't matter what it is. Like the experience has been getting better steadily. That's the nature of innovation. Make things easier to use, more convenient, faster, more efficient, blah, 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 whatever. And we just simply don't. And I refuse to accept that it's because every engineer working on every protocol can't figure out how to make something a little bit more easy, or just like write something differently. And now I'm kind of thinking that it's a feature, not a bug, and that it actually makes sense. And that if a service was genuinely good, people would probably be willing to go through a little bit of pain to like get a huge benefit on the back end. Like if take a savings account, for example. If I were to start from absolute scratch and try to open a savings account with one of the major banks in America, I have USAA, so let's just say USAA. I like to pick on them because they are, sweethearts, and they have nice customer service, but they have a lot left to be desired when you use their stuff. If I were to start from scratch and open a brand new account for a brand new person and open a savings account, it's not like it's the most obvious, easy thing ever that takes me 10 seconds to do. And that's why they have so many people, right? They have so many people because they have a brand of being like the special bank for service members and their families, or, pick any other bank. If you were to tell me like, hey, you could either go through all of the struggle to make that savings account, and we're going to pay you a whopping 0.015% interest on your savings account, or you could click on 3 extra things, learn 5 or 6 new vocabulary words that you've never seen before, and we'll pay you 8% on your savings account balance. Is there anybody who would seriously consider like going with option A?
Yeah, there would. It's a familiar process, and
No. I'm playing a hypothetical here where I'm saying like you are starting from scratch, and someone said, because I think you're right. Will.
And in that sense, yes, if I have zero context as to what to expect,
Right.
then yeah, I would go through the extra steps.
So
Most people would.
Because exactly like you said, the only reason anyone uses that other stuff is because it's familiar and we feel good about it, even though in quite literally every single conceivable sense, it's a worse product, right? It's less secure. They get hacked way more often. The rewards are dog shit. The process is awful. If you need to get on the phone with customer service, it's often not fun. And at this point, you're just like meandering your way through a sea of AIs that don't know what you're asking for and refuse to connect you to a human. Like everything about it sucks. Okay. The user experience is trash at all of these things. And at the end of the day, you're hemorrhaging money and the security is terrible. And so you're telling me that I have this new thing that has a much lower rate of exploit, that has a much higher return on whatever I'm able to deposit and earn on, and that I have much more control over, and that I can withdraw at any point. I don't even have to deal with customer service because it's me. I'm the department. And the only thing standing in my way is learning something new. One, it definitely speaks to fear because Will, like you said, we're going to sit with the familiar thing, even though in every conceivable way it's worse. But like I said, I just don't really accept that the UX is like bad in crypto anymore. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, no, it's a new skill and it's infinitely better in every way, shape, and form. And sure, we can make buttons shinier and like look nicer and text a little bit clearer, but overall, the process is quite streamlined. There is just no way around having to learn 2 or 3 new skills.
So I agree and disagree with you. Because I think the user experience does still need improvement, but it's not the biggest problem.
So can I interrupt? Because I'm curious, when you say that, what sticks out in your head as being a thing where you're like, this is the feature for me that needs improvement. This is the piece of
I have to download a wallet.
Okay, so you have to download one application.
Correct. I have to download a wallet. There's something new. I can potentially make mistakes that make me lose my money. These are things that need to just be removed because it's scary, it's new, it's different. There's an extra step. It's going to stop people from going towards the new, better thing because people are a combination of lazy, scared of things that are new, and very incredibly distrustful of things that are new because anything new, 90% chance it's a scam.
Is anybody listening to this think that the process of downloading a new app is like really prohibitive?
So it's a new app of something that you have heard is a scam for a decade. It's a new app for crypto. And crypto is a scam. That's what you've heard for 12 years. And so you're very worried and cautious because we're always on the lookout for scams. And so you're just like, there are too many question marks I have here. And people are busy. And we don't have the time to look up everything and to educate ourselves on everything. So the education would resolve those question marks, but those question marks remain. And so therefore, I don't trust this. I'm unfamiliar. I'm not going to do these steps. What needs to change is you need to have a user experience that is exactly the same as how people interact with everything today. And don't use the word wallet. Don't use the word blockchain. Don't use the word NFT. Don't use the word crypto.
You're saying 2 different things. This is my beef with it, because the process of downloading an app is not prohibitive. Okay.
Yes, correct.
That's just an objective fact. We download apps all the time. We are constantly being bombarded with new apps, new games, new this, new that, whatever, and people download gajillions of apps all the time. The thing you hit on that is prohibitive is the brand, and it's the knowledge of navigating a platform, because of course there are scams and there are plenty of things that are not scams, right? That is not user experience. Like, I'm sorry, but that has absolutely nothing to do with user experience. That is education. That is just messaging. That is storytelling. That is branding. That is marketing. That is all sorts of things. It has absolutely nothing to do with user experience.
Incorrect. It has more to do with brand than user experience, because if you go onto a site and you download an app and it works, that's your user experience.
Yes.
But if you, in order to get something, have to download the app that's a wallet and then you have to connect it to a website, that's now a new user experience that is more prohibitive than the traditional Web 2 experience. That is a user experience. That is not the biggest problem for crypto, though. The biggest problem for crypto, as you said, is branding and messaging. That is the bigger problem, because if you had better branding and messaging, you'd have a larger pool of people that say, oh, okay, let me learn about this wallet thing and yada, yada. I'll learn these extra steps, and the pool of people who would become users would be bigger. The amount of crypto companies making money would be better. But if you can then combine that with better messaging and branding, that pool of people becomes an ocean of people who are willing to use it. So I'm not going to disagree with you and say that branding and messaging isn't the biggest problem. That was going to be my point before you interrupted me. Classic Red Rising fan behavior right here.
Oh my
but that's the biggest problem is branding and messaging, because you cannot market to people that this is crypto, that it's blockchain, that it's DeFi, that's anything different from what it is. You just have to bring them into it and let them experience it and be like, oh, okay. And then they have to discover for themselves, oh, wait, this is crypto? Oh, wait, this is block. Oh, wait, what? Oh, damn. I thought this was a scam.
Do you not think that if we go too far in the direction of hiding the wires, obfuscating the tech, burying the lead, that we're just defeating the purpose?
Nope, because otherwise you won't onboard people.
So my pushback would be that we have been onboarding people.
Yes.
Without what I would call truly hidden wires. I think that, we are in agreement that the biggest problem is the messaging, because there's just way too much focus on, the scam. This is the scam. That's the scam. Whatever. I will die on the hill that is not UX, because when we talk about eliminating steps or removing the requirement for someone to download an application or click on 3 things in order to fully experience a product. If I were to sit down, let's take a really, really basic example of lending USDC on Aave. So I would completely agree. There are a number of steps. And if I've never done any of them, I am immediately prohibited by the fact that those steps are things that I'm not used to doing. I may not know where to go, and I don't feel confident in taking a stab at it. That's UX. If I was to sit here and try to eliminate every conceivable step in order to make someone believe that they're doing something they've done a million times, at some point that just becomes inconceivable, not helpful, and it really doesn't get us any closer to accomplishing the goal of onboarding people to a better product, because the number of things I'd have to click on or do or agree to or sign or do whatever to open a brand new bank account and deposit my money in it for the first time, and then begin using a yield earning opportunity with their savings account, whatever it is, or their investment, their broker, whatever. It's still a shitload of clicks. It's a lot of clicks.
Mm-hmm.
And the only difference between those two things is that I feel better about it because I've been hearing about it for 100 years versus it's only been around for a decade. And some people, regardless of motive, have been telling me for a very long time, very loudly, that it's not good, that it's not safe. But the UX itself, the experience of me having to go to this website and click on this thing and read all these terms and conditions and agree to this thing and click on that and open this and sign up with this account and get an email and click on a code that the email gives me and then go back to this thing and follow a link that all of a sudden doesn't work and then have to get on with the little chat feature, which only has 3 options, and then try to find a phone number to call somebody and then get an AI that is going to walk me through well, I don't understand your question. And then you're please just connect me to a human and blah, blah, blah. Who doesn't want to jump out of a window at just trying to go through that? I had the experience yesterday. I've been trying to cancel Xfinity for a while, and the user experience is absolutely awful. I would literally rather get scammed than deal with that, right? Cancel your Planet Fitness or whatever it is, right? The UX is awful everywhere, but we're used to it. So I'm really coming around to thinking that we can't keep just trying to eliminate steps and negate the need for us to just tell a better story and talk to more people and just like show and demonstrate and prove that this stuff is not this terrifying, seedy back alley money deal with a guy in a trench coat, because that's the vibe. But the user experience, I think, is largely fine. And I think crushing on it is just an excuse for people to not have to learn how to communicate better.
Yeah, that's the thing. The thing is it is a crutch. It is a crutch of the industry to say, oh, the only reason why we're not successful right now in a household name is because of user experience. It's an absolute crutch. It's laziness, and it's people being afraid of actually having to do something new to continuously expand their business because they're comfortable in their infinite money glitches. Yeah, that's the biggest problem. It's messaging and branding. Messaging and branding. And the messaging fixes the branding if you can do that. And then the dam really opens up for the amount of people that can come in. But I will absolutely still say that user experience still needs to be largely improved.
And distribution. It's not enough to have the right message at the with the killer brand consistently. You got to reach the people where they are.
Exactly. And that to me is actually no, I would say yeah. I don't have anything to add to that.
I would just add to this, Will, that I think annoyingly, we probably agree on more than we might realize we do. Although this has been a lot of fun because we never get to argue about anything. I also do firmly believe that there is a lot of difference and a lot of nuance between the different types of projects and protocols that we're talking about here. Like, if I were to put two things in front of you and say, let's talk the UX and like how to improve each, and I were to put Courtyard on one side, and then I were to put Morpho on the other. In no world should those have the same user experience because they're vastly different products, right? And I completely agree that if I wanted to use the service that Courtyard provides me to buy some Pokemon cards and collect some, add some stuff to my collection, that's what I want to do. And I had to click on 28,000 things and connect this and download and blah, 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 whatever, when the Web 2 version of a trading card marketplace would be as simple as enter email, pick the product I want to buy, pay for it, and ship it to myself, whatever. Then that is a very like streamlined classic user experience that I'm extremely used to and I'm very comfortable with. And now what I'm looking for is just a good deal versus a platform like Morpho, where what I'm actually doing is taking potentially a very large amount of my money that I have nearly sole control and ownership and responsibility for, and connect or delegate it or submit it to a particular vault in order to earn yield on this thing. I should have to go through a bit more of a process to do the latter, because the weight of the responsibility of self-custody for your own money in a place where there is no one who can reverse the transaction for you if you screw it up and send it back. Like, I think by design that needs to have a tiny bit of friction to really drive home the idea, like, I'm doing something big and impactful here. And the more stuff like in DeFi specifically that we wire hide or obfuscate away to shunt the responsibility off of me, the user, to some platform, I might as well just stick with a bank, because that's exactly what I'm doing. Someone else is in charge of my shit. They have access to whatever it is. They can move it without my permission if they really want to. The same risk of exploit and data leaks and breaches and all that good stuff, that all still exists, and there's no difference at all. But if what I'm doing is buying a Pokemon card, I could care less.
So I agree with the ethos of what you're saying. I don't think there's a single thing I'll disagree with on that. But I will still say, if you want to onboard the most amount of people, you can still improve that process. And Coinbase just did, except you lose a lot of the decentralized really benefits there, where Coinbase still has access to your money. Like, it's a bank. Like, Coinbase is about to become a bank.
It's a bank.
If those of you who don't know, they applied for their bank charter license. It's a bank. And also news came out today that the White House said that they are looking to pass the Bitcoin and market structure bill or act or whatever before the end of this year, which would allow banks to do a whole bunch of stuff in the crypto space. So it's coming, right? But if you want to onboard the most amount of people, just like Evan, you have to meet people where they are in the distribution system. People are at banks, and banks, in this case, Coinbase is using Morpho to let people lend directly on Coinbase now, right? That news came out last week. So they're going to meet them where they're at, so they don't have to go and do any extra steps at all. And Alex's point, like, I agree with you. It should have a few more steps to enable you a little bit more time to think like, oh, should I be doing this? With this amount of money? That's not necessarily a bad thing. But if the goal is onboard the most amount of people, now at Coinbase, you have your USDC sitting at Coinbase, you're probably just going to click one button and bada boom, bada bing, you're earning 10, 9, 8, 7%, whatever it's going to be using a lending protocol, using Morpho on the back end. You lose the decentralized function of it, but you get people with up to knee height in water. And some of those people are going to, go waist deep and up to their chest, and maybe dive into the full-on water of DeFi to a much larger degree because you initially improved the user experience and you met people where they are via the distribution system. And then maybe Coinbase one day will ever kind of figure out the whole messaging thing.
And that I agree with. And I don't think there's anything wrong with starting with something like that and graduating to something else. I guess my point is that the vibe I get from listening to the UX talk is that people want everything to become as simple and streamlined as your classic centralized exchange experience of just enter email, submit to you my data, relinquish control of this thing, and then just like trade it all in for a customer service department that's going to suck in 5 years anyway, because they're going to have more than 8 users and they won't have time to get to you, and it's all going to be automated anyway. I just think that's a pointless goal. I think that's going to walk us right back to the thing we're trying to escape from in the building of all of this. And I've seen a few, I know I haven't responded to a lot of comments here, but
I'm on top of it.
No, I know, but the clarification I want to make is I'm not saying like where do you go? Bearded said is Alex saying that if I don't want to learn how to do it by myself, I should stay out. My point is that your responsibility as the user is not it's to maybe have a process that is a little bit different than what you're used to, but that doesn't mean that it's bad. And the responsibility of the platform, the project, the protocol, whatever, is to figure out a better way to explain how it works, why it's important, why it matters, what your options are. And then inside of it, to work on refining the specific experience that you will have as a user of something in the DeFi space, which just may be different. If I try to make it more succinct, DeFi has its own experience, and sure, it can be improved, but the method of improving that should not be make it a centralized financial experience. And that's what this all feels like to me. It feels like the more we try to simplify, we just end up turning this shit back into Web 2 stuff, and we lose everything that we started all of this to get away from.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of streaming. So like how we all started with streaming, and streamers like, oh my God, this is so much better than cable. And then, about 15 years go by, and now streaming is basically cable again.
Yes.
You have to go and buy your packages and stuff, and it's not really more affordable anymore.
You're bundling, there's ads everywhere.
You're bundling, there's ads everywhere. So now streaming is basically just cable.
I would agree with that comparison.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and we're seeing that in crypto. Like, that is one possible outcome of Coinbase having, per Alex in the comments points, enough money to hire a bajillion UX designers and also apply for a banking charter and also buy a pile of Bitcoin so that you can get it for a very minimal spread and so on and so forth, and fly Brian Armstrong to the White House and do that kind of thing. But I want to draw a distinction between that and decentralization as like a different goal, and why I think this movement is both necessary and critically important, like different. We have never had access to a world-changing general purpose technology. We, meaning like the peons, the everyday people, at the same time, and even ahead of people who you might consider elites, rich, powerful, ruling classes. When electricity was rolled out, who got it first? When automobiles were rolled out, who got it first? When computers were rolled out, who got it first? It was expensive, it was prohibitive, it was difficult. The prohibition here is that there are new skills to learn. And there is a lack of, we talked about, helpful educational content onboarding experiences, things like this that can help you as an everyday person or me as an everyday person start using this stuff safely and confidently. But that's the barrier right now. Sure, these startup companies don't have the money to pay a billion trillion designers a bunch of dollars to build a better user experience and hire customer service representatives. But the other thing to know is it's also not possible to have, like Alex was saying a second ago, self-custody, open, permissionless networks, and give a customer service agent the ability to reverse your transaction. We had it in the comments, and this is such a good crypto question. I wish they said that I could just reverse a transaction if I sent it to the wrong wallet. Do you know why that's not possible? It's not possible because in order to do that, the transaction would have to take place in a closed system where someone other than you had control to reverse it. The innovation here is that you are completely in charge of the information that represents your money. That is why Bitcoin specifically and generally all decentralized cryptocurrency is so earth-shattering and revolutionary. And we can't undo or reverse that because it would mean it undid that. Somebody else would be in control.
That's the perfect feature of crypto to prove the point that I'm trying to make here. In that instance, the UX improvement of the transaction debacle, of like the fear of sending something to the wrong place, the UX improvement there is not cram in a middle person and break the protocol to give someone else the permission to reverse the thing and thus make the entire point of this blockchain thing completely gone. The UX improvement there is like unstoppable domains.
Yes,
instead of having this crazy long, alphanumeric string of characters that you have to send to, that one single L could be a 1 on accident and then ruin the whole thing. That cannot be the only thing that you look at.
Yes.
So the UX improvement there would be adding a front end wherein a username is assigned to that specific string of letters, and something more that we're more used to. And you're seeing that happen more and more and more and more. Like pretty much everybody has their own.
We got to build it one block at a time, and we got to build it on Ethereum, and then maybe we can compose it to the layer 2s, and then Solana will see it and say, okay, great. It's slower, but it's piece by piece by piece like that.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, we have been making that improvement. That improvement is now all over the place. So many protocols have usernames and handles and profiles and things and all this kind of stuff, right? Like whether they're connected to your email or not. I don't believe that that's the way to do it, but the domain summaries, or something that just like look at Etherscan, for example, right now, right? Like when we all started, you just had to read that shit. But now if you hold your cursor over something, it highlights every other identical address on the entire page that you can see. These are all the same, and it will grab ones that it knows and self-identify them as, like, we know that this is Binance hot wallet number 3. We know that this is, Coinbase's cold storage wallet number 6, whatever. And then identify, back in the day, like, dude, when we started TFM and I was trying to help people track down like transactions that went to the wrong place, I literally would just sit there and stare at that point, Elrond, RIP, Blockchain Explorer, and read entire addresses and transaction hashes, character by character, literally thousands of times for hours at a time, to figure out what they accidentally did and where they accidentally sent it, and to confirm whether or not this went to the same place. Like, that was a bad UX.
Yeah.
That has improved.
Yep. Also, yesterday, Evan and I were just trying to look stuff up on ASTER token allocation.
Oh, yeah.
And I went to CoinCarp and I was like, I think this is accurate, but I'm not sure. Evan went to Token Terminal, whatever it's called now, Tokenomics, whatever it is. And we're like, okay, we're finding some stuff here. And I was like, I don't know, I'm seeing a little bit of disparity. I was like, all right, fine, I'll go to the Blockchain Explorer. I was like, and then I went to the Binance Smart Chain Explorer, and I was like, oh God, it's so great. And then I found my answer immediately. We actually got like some really good data. But like the fact that I had to go back to, I was like, what is this, 3 years ago? Oh God, it's so gross. I'm looking at blockchain transactions instead of into like a nice GUI interface.
Dude, do you know where we should have gone? I didn't even think about this. Is we should have gone to bubble maps. Do you guys use bubble maps?
Oh,
You
I
do.
never think of
Yes.
bubble maps. It's never been a tool I've used a lot, but you're right, it's a good one.
I hate that I never think of it because it is in my opinion, it's one of the best tools for like visualizing crypto data
So
that's
good.
out there.
Yeah,
I
it's
heard
good.
the founder on an episode of Surprise Unchained with Laura Shin, and he was so cheeky and also like so helpful. I was like, we got to get this guy on the show. So it's on my list. I really, really would love to have them. They have a public beta for V2 that's coming out right now. You can check them out at bubblemaps.io. Great visualization of on-chain data. Okay, let me ask you this. Are we well met on this debate? This was, as you say, it's fun to get to like disagree and pick apart ideas because we really never get to.
I know,
But
we should do it more
I want to
often.
give you a final thought. If you've got one, it sounds like we have, shocker, arrived at sort of a consensus and meaning together, even if we have some nuanced discrepancies.
Yeah, I think there's some lingering disagreements, but
I like that. So there could be a round two.
there could be here. Oh yes, for sure.
Yeah, we'll talk after I finish book 2 of Red Rising.
Oh my God.
We'll talk after you finish book 3 and it changes your life.
Oh my gosh.
We'll see.
Okay. All right.
I'm well met.
If you've got a crypto question, let us know. We've got a few more minutes before we ride our dogs and ponies into the sunset. If I missed your crypto question, then feel free to leave it in the comments, or even better yet, that would be a great use of the Rise Up community. Get over there, rumshq.com, very first link at the top. Leave us your question, tag at Evan, at Alex, at Will in any message anywhere and say, hey, you fools, you missed my question, and we will do our very best to answer it for you or get you in touch with an 8-ball who can. And the 8-ball today says, cash out a bit. I'm down, brother. We had a question from Rada. Good to see you, Rada. To follow up on ASTER. So one of the things I wanted to say is that we talked about this yesterday on the morning show. We talked about it on Market Watch. I heard a good analysis of it from Doug and Will. And the only update I want to give today is that if you are tracking down the tokenomics, you may have noticed that there has been some chatter. I see it mostly from KOLs, meaning they've paid people to talk about this, meaning it's probably true, that they're going to do a second wave of airdrops. They're airdropping 4% of their supply, 320 million tokens, valued at about $2 each right now. You do the math. And they are airdropping it most likely to people who use their DEX because they've got this points tracker. And it seems to me, if you want to qualify for this airdrop, I'm not going to screen share. We can talk about it later. You can search this. I would go to X and search ASTER airdrop. Don't click on any links that say you need to claim it, but just look for threads that explain how people are trying to, we say, farm this. Our friend Radio Dan asked us, how do we farm airdrops? This is one way to do it. ASTER, a decentralized exchange, and PerpDex wants you to use their platform. What do you use their platform to do? To trade perpetuals, which means you take out leverage on a position, and then you just move volumes of money. Now, there is a wrong way to do this, which is just to, put up some collateral, turn up the leverage, and bet the house and lose your money. There is a right way to do this, which would be to game the system a little bit, to make very small bets very frequently in any direction so that you, instead of betting, the price will go to $3 from $1, you're betting the price will go to $1 and 0.00001 cents from $1, and you're using $1 to bet it, and then 50x leverage or whatever. So if it moves the wrong way, you lose your $1, but it's just $1, and then you've got thousands of dollars in volume. When you multiply your collateral by the amount of leverage you apply, this results in a metric called volume. How much you trade over a period of time, and that is what they are distributing points for. So the way to get more points is to go deposit some funds. I recommend using the Binance Smart Chain because that's their native network. And then maybe taking out their stable coin seems to be another tip that they're pushing people to publish. I think it's a USDF. Don't quote me on that. Fact check yourself. And if it's not apparent to you already, this is a level 2 DeFi play. If you're just learning today about DeFi, this is probably not the play for you. But this is something to motivate you that
yourself, brother.
There is sometimes money to be made in crypto when you trade your time for it by doing silly repetitive tasks like this. If you got more questions, leave them in the community, but that's the ASTER update. Will, I know you have to leave in a couple of minutes for a call. So let's do a round of final thoughts because we actually have an exciting announcement. I'm going to pull a Dennis Porter and tell you we are announcing an announcement, something I cannot tell you yet, but which we are excited to reveal in due time. I think tomorrow is when
so you know we've made it.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, we get to publicly reveal
announcements of announcements.
It's the most crypto thing we've ever done.
It's the most crypto thing we've ever done, and we can't wait to tell you what is coming tomorrow. But today, I know there are a few things happening. Will, you mentioned some of them before the call. You want to take it and then give us a final thought?
Robot Sticklers guessed it.
Yeah, Alex is pregnant. And so
spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, Trump is giving a speech at the UN about like his new vision of global world order. So we'll see what that is. But I don't think it's going to have anything. People are like, it might be something about crypto. He's not going to talk about crypto at the UN. That's going to be bearish. He's not going to be talking about crypto at the UN.
Anytime he talks to the UN, it doesn't go well.
Yeah, and then there's Jerome Powell has a speech about the U.S. economy. I think at 12:30, but at 10:15 there will be an announcement about some political shift for Bitcoin.
And this is Eastern time, so it's coming right
Eastern up. Time. So it's coming in an hour or so. So we'll see what that is. And anyway, so hopefully it's bullish enough to fix these charts and have Bitcoin act like, I don't know, the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ or the Russell 2000 or gold or copper or silver or uranium. Everything but Bitcoin is doing great. Everything except crypto is doing great.
Okay, now what? Will, question. As I try to find some hopium, does that not just set us up to rotate everything else doing great into Bitcoin doing amazing in a little bit?
Not necessarily, because if everything else starts doing poorly, yes, correct.
Thank you.
Yes. I was about to say, well, if the stock market starts to take a little bit of a tumble and positions get liquidate, then people need to cover their positions. So they sell other assets that they have to cover those positions. Other assets could be crypto. So like could be a negative. But we have seen the stock market do poorly earlier this year, and Bitcoin did much better. So maybe it'll just reverse. People will take profits from stocks and put it into crypto.
What you're saying is sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
It's the perfect time to buy.
Perfect time to buy.
Okay, is that your final thought, Will?
That is my final thought.
Okay, Alex, give us a final thought, a little hopium.
My final thought is that it was a lot of fun winning the first debate against Will. And,
you didn't win. You didn't.
You
didn't win.
Thought. You can't add anything else. You're
no,
done.
you didn't win. I won. Nope.
Everyone's saying it. Everyone
Alex
agrees.
Is incorrect.
Everyone's saying it. Everyone agrees. Many are saying it was the best debate that was ever debated. And
I have heard people say like, "Wow, this Alex guy. Wow, he's so angry, so short, such an angry, short little elf man." I hear many people say this.
Tell me why.
Because he's short. That's why I hear him all the time. Have you ever been into the Alex is a big poo-poo head subreddit? I have. It's crazy. Wow.
If that doesn't exist, Will's going to start it this afternoon.
I'll start it this afternoon after I finish the second book of Red Rising.
But no, there was a request to do that again because it was informative. And honestly, I think that we should make a more concerted effort to try to find something that we can argue about because we never get to do it. And genuinely, like those are always fun. I love arguing, and you always if you come to a debate with your mind open, you always end up learning something. So that'd be fun. That would be fun to do again.
Vonda in TikTok just goes short pregnant Alex.
And now all the cards are on the table. You guys know exactly what.
Listen, he is 5'11". He earned that slightly above average height.
Okay, wait. You know what's really funny? So this here, I'll show both streams. This door, that one, is uncharacteristically short. And so for once in my life,
oh no, I know where this is going.
It's
yeah, show us that ass.
If I was taller, I would smoke my forehead.
Oh, the short little pregnant elf bought himself a little elf home.
So for once in my life, the fact that the universe rugged me just shy of hitting the magical 6 foot.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? But at least I can walk through that one stupid door.
Fit my head. Yeah.
You should do your next round of headshots in that door.
Oh yeah,
so
that'd be
people are
good.
like, damn.
Oh, it's my
It's
new
tall.
favorite
It's
door.
fun.
It makes me
It's tall
look
as
so
fuck.
tall instead of. Well, actually, the only thing I really need to do to not feel short is just never go to crypto conferences because all you assholes are just all.
Everyone's
6'4".
so tall. I don't get it. It's crazy.
Dude, and every time I show up, I've never felt short until I met all these assholes in real life, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Are any of you? Could any of you just not be over 6'2"?
I like to imagine. I have a theory of that. It's tall people have a bit more of an ego and they feel like, people want to listen to me a little bit more so than maybe people who are shorter. And then we start making content and sharing our opinions.
You might be onto something.
I think that's it. I think it's a psychological trait.
You might be onto something there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, it's happened again. We have squandered another hour together and it has been so much fun. If you've still got questions, if you still have more, then let us know. If you have predictions about Arlo or just need more pictures of cute dogs and cats in your life, then join us in the Rise Up community. It's rumshq.com. And then come back tomorrow for another great episode of the Rise Up Morning Show. Here's what we have to look forward to that is not the announcement. Tomorrow, we've got James from DeFi Carrot joining us on the show. As you know, the Rise Up Morning Show is powered in part by our partnership with Friend the White Whale, who told a great story recently about how he hooked his own father up with DeFi Carrot for a better on-chain savings account. So we're going to talk to them about how to take your first steps or go deeper in DeFi, a more practical, tactical version and continuance of the conversation we started today. Then tomorrow night, we've got our friends David, aka DeWoofy, and Sophie from Opacity coming to hang out. We're going to talk all about the marketing problem, and I would like their take on this crypto UX debate on Rise Up After Dark. That's 7 p.m. Central tomorrow, Wednesday. But wherever you are, whenever you listen, you know it's always a good time to rise up. So, my friends, thank you. I live for the dream that my children will be born free, that they will be what they like, that they will own the Bitcoin their father gave them. And on that note, my friends, thank you for being the very best part of what we do. Until next time, everybody, stay safe, be well, my friends, rise up.
Bye-bye.